All right, let's hear Sark, 16-13. Longhorns' longest, and they had the benefit of a Ryan Niblett punt return that set up a 5-yard drive, and then their longest actual offensive drive was 6 plays, 40 yards that kicked a field goal. That was it. The other scoring drive was they got the ball in overtime from the 25 and actually went backwards and then got to the 21.
Oh, thank you.
Holding call. 4-yard drive.
Push him back.
To kick a field goal with the very clutch Mason Shipley. Who
Good investment, though, clearly, was special teams this year.
Well, again, that's because we can all talk negatives, and that's for sure. And to me, it's lazy to say, well, if they play like that again, they're going to lose the rest of their games. That's true. I mean, no one's going to argue with that. But they just played their best game, and they beat the 6th-ranked team in the country. And I think Oklahoma bounced back at South Carolina and showed you they're a pretty good football team. That game was never close. They win, 28-7 at South Carolina. Their defense just destroyed Lenora Sellers. So don't give up hope. I mean, that's why I'm using A&M as a parallel. If A&M plays defense like they did Saturday, they're going to lose some games. I know they're 7-0, and they found a way to win these. That's why I keep saying it's the ugliest win I've ever seen. Texas normally would lose these games, and you'd come in bumming. And that's the Florida game. You had your chances. You let it get away. The Ohio State game, the loss. But this is Arch Manning's first true road win of his young career. People talk about he's a third-year player. He's only made 9 starts.
Right.
He's only actually gotten in and played the game as a starting quarterback in the D1 level and in the SEC 9 times. And he got his first road win. He had been 0 for Ohio State, 0 for Florida. Did win at the Cotton Bowl last week, which was the Texas home game, but this was the first true road game. And it was tough. It was brutal. Here's Sark on some of the issues that they were dealing with and how, again, Sark will continue to talk about self-inflicted wounds. At some point, they got to get these things solved, or Sark's got to change the way he operates.
We got to quit the self-inflicted wounds, and I know you guys see it like when there's penalties. And granted, we do some things that are obviously very frustrating. You get a hold the first play of overtime. You get a false start in the fourth quarter when we're trying to put the game away. We catch a pass with a minute to go and we go out of bounds without getting the first down, or stay in bounds and make them use the other timeout. Like there's little things that we're not doing offensively. We miss open throws. Clearly, I'm not calling enough stuff for our guys to feel good about what we're doing. But at the end of the day, it's like we can have high-scoring games, and I could air it out and lose. So if our style of game and our style of play is we're going to play hard-nosed football and we're going to play great on defense and great on special teams, we need to be more efficient on offense with the opportunities that we get. And that's what we need to do offensively is we got to minimize the self-inflicted wounds and become more efficient. And we weren't efficient enough tonight.
That's where a week ago you were efficient.
Right.
You did limit the mistakes after some early penalties. You only had 4 for the game against Oklahoma, and you had 3 early, and that was it. You didn't have another offensive penalty. That kept you on schedule. But then Sark's got to continue to run the football, which he didn't do Saturday.
Well, and he didn't run the football well. They didn't run the football much at all. And then also the short passes just to create some motion. They try to do these long developing plays vertically like they did against Florida. And, Arch Manning, when he's on the run and gets out of the pocket, I actually think that's when he's the best as a quarterback. But that wasn't even happening in this game. So, again, you're right. I think you need to run the football more.
Thing, right?
When Eastern Michigan put up 80, 90 more yards on the run.
Well, and that's the play calling. That's got.
That's on Sark.
And I think if you listen to his whole post game, and we will play some more, he owned it. He understands he installed a bad game
I understand
plan.
that.
And he played right into Mark Stoops' trap, in my opinion, in that Mark Stoops and his defense were going to play aggressive at the line of scrimmage. They weren't going to give up big plays. They were going to keep everything in front of them, and that's why that double reverse pass.
And they knew where they're weak on that
first.
offensive line.
Right, and they took advantage of a backup center and a freshman guard. And when you get those guys in pass pro, it gets ugly. So that's why you need to run the ball. And I don't know if Trey Wisner was still banged up a little bit from the game a week ago, where he carried the mail, and so you're still kind of limited there. And maybe that's part of the thinking. Well, we can, and let's be fair too. And this is the real frustrating part of this offense. Sometimes you get mad at Sark for play calls and what he's doing, and then he does dial up a great play, and Ryan Wingo's running on a crossing route wide open, and Arch and throws it over his head.
Right.
Or Jack Endries has been schemed open, and he's running by himself down the right side, and your quarterback, without getting hit, can't throw it to him. I mean, it's one or the other
all around, right?
And that leads to a look inward moment for everybody. But again, I'm not trying to paint it as rosy, but at the same time, you did win the game, and you just played your best game 7 days ago, so it's in there. So when people say, well, if they play like that the rest of the way, they're going to lose all their games, which is fair. But if they play like they did against Oklahoma in all phases, they can win
a lot of games.
The rest of their games potentially. Not easily, because Vanderbilt's really good. By the way, let me get that Vanderbilt right. They're into the top 10 for the first time since 1940. 47.
Wow.
47.
That dates most of us.
Yes. But, their one loss came on the road, and they have to come to Austin the day after Halloween on November 1st. Texas does have to go to Georgia a week later after a bye week, or 2 weeks later, and then Arkansas and Texas A&M, who's undefeated. So, yes, you got an uphill climb here. But at least you're still in it, and that's why finding a win with your special teams and your defense, your goals are still there. Can you go fix them? Because you just obviously you've got a ton to fix. Let's hear from. I thought Michael Taaffe was funny because Michael Taaffe is one of the spokespeople and captains for the Longhorn on defense, and he said this. He was like, because he was getting some negative questions, and this is a little bit Brian Kelly-ish from after the LSU win over Florida. Listen to Taaffe. He's like, why are you guys being so negative?
These questions seem a little bit negative. I'm not gonna lie, guys, to the offense. And I'll say this: it's freaking hard to win in the SEC. Go ask Georgia when they won the national championship what they did against Kentucky last year. When they won the SEC championship, what they do against Kentucky last year, it's hard to win the SEC. So we freaking won. Let's put some smiles on our face. We won, and the show goes on, and we're dancing.
All right, so we won the game. Let's hear Sark talking about the same. This, and then you're going to hear from Colin Simmons, who had another 2.5 sacks. He's got 5 sacks in 2 games.
5.5.
He's coming on.
Games.
Anthony Hill had 12 tackles and was all over the place and played great. Michael Taaffe. And again, the best thing that you heard from the locker room is Sark taking accountability. Arch took accountability. The offense struggled, but the defense is not at all throwing the offense under the bus. They're pointing fingers. They're arguing with people. Hey, leave our offense alone. We'll be fine. They've picked us up at times. We're going to be okay. And that's a good thing. It's a united front to try to get some wins, and it's got to get better. But here's Sark.
You always want all 3 phases to be a well-oiled machine right now, and we're just not quite there yet on offense. But it's surely good to know, when you can play defense and play good on special teams, you're always going to have a chance.
All right, here's more from Sark, and this is the one that you hear from Colin
Simmons. I told
Simmons.
the team half the SEC lost today, and we were on the other half that won. And so we got plenty of work to do. But man, what a win! I've said this all along. You go on the road at night in the SEC. This league is tough. It's hard, and for us to find a way to win this game tonight. Very happy about that.
In the locker room, it was emphasized that a lot of great teams lost this past weekend. So just for us to be on the side of the winning side, it's a great sign of relief, and we just got to keep getting better from here. Keep striving, keep being engaged as a team.
All right, can I kind of say this too? And I think the Longhorns and fans and Sark should be sending thank you cards to Mark Stoops for winning this game, because because Mark Stoops plays the underdog role very well. I went through the history lesson earlier, Noah, that this is this dates back to, when Bob Stoops played at Iowa, his brother, the Stoops brothers, and they all hate Texas, by the way, all the Stoops brothers, we know that. But Bob Stoops played at Iowa for Hayden Fry, and Hayden Fry was the Iowa coach for a long time. Everybody gets him confused with Hayden Fox, the sitcom character on Coach. Hayden Fry was a really good coach, but he knew in the Big Ten when you're playing Michigan, Ohio State, those type of teams, you're undermanned. You're overpowered. You're playing 5 stars when you've got 3 stars from the cornfield. So what do? Right? You grow the grass high, you wet it down, you slow down the 5 stars, you control the football, you play great defense but don't give up big plays, and you see if you can put yourself in a position to win it in the 4th quarter. And that's Hayden Fry football at Iowa. That's what Bob Stoops, learned. Then he went to play with Bill Snyder at Kansas State, and that's exactly the recipe. Same thing. And that's how he's maintained 14 years at Kentucky. That's just what you do. You just heard Michael Taaffe say it accurately. They almost beat Georgia, who won the SEC last year.
They beat Ole Miss.
And I'm sure in Athens, the Georgia fans are saying, well, we won the game, but if we play like that, we're not going to win any more games. And they won the SEC. So teams can improve, and you just have to survive it and win it. But Mark Stoops, man, if this is what I don't understand, and I'm glad he did for Texas fans' sake. If you're going to play that and you execute it that well, and you have the ball for 40 minutes, and you have 20 whatever first downs to 8, if you limit them to Texas to nothing,
right?
Why aren't you kicking field goals on 4th down?
We're the underdog. We need to score touchdowns.
This coach mindset,
He plays right into it.
The first drive, they take 6 minutes off the clock. They get it's 4th and 1, and I'm yelling at the on Texas football watch along, kick the ball. And everybody's saying, well, no, this is 2025. Everybody goes for it. I'm like, no. That's a huge win to get the ball. Texas won the toss, deferred. Not only did you go 65 yards, but you took 6 minutes off the clock. Kick the field goal. They get stopped. Texas, no points. And then even in overtime, and this is the bigger gripe. Now you're in overtime.
Right.
Somehow, because Texas took a lead 13-10, you've got a chance, and you get to the goal line. I understand you got to the 4-yard line on the first play, and you're thinking, we got to score a touchdown here. You didn't get in on the first 2. You couldn't move the Texas pile at all. And then on 4th down, you go for it again and run the same play. Kick the ball. I know it's overtime, but do you really think, Mark Stoops, you watched this entire game, did you really think Texas was going to go 25 yards and score a touchdown?
Well, no, they pushed themselves back. Like you said, it was negative
I'm
yards.
just saying before we saw that.
Right, no, exactly.
I'm
with you.
I'm like, if Stoops,
You've been able to stop them. You have all your fans still in the stadium, too.
I'm yelling this on the On Texas Watch Along, which is why it's fun to do the in-game stuff. I'm like, really? Texas can't go 25 yards? Have you seen this whole game?
No.
They could scheme a guy wide open and Arch is going to miss him.
Right.
They're going to have penalties. They're going to go backwards.
And Burn Auburn's not the kicker anymore.
And so what you're doing by not kicking that field goal right there, Stoops, is letting Texas off the hook because now all they need is a field goal. And they have a good kicker.
Right.
So at least match them field goals until you can guarantee yourself a touchdown.
I agree.
Because Texas was never going to score a touchdown from the
he
25.
played right into that card. You knew he was going for it, and he shouldn't have.
And if I'm Stoops, if I do kick it and I still lose and they score a touchdown, I just got to say, credit them. But you cannot.
They scored on us,
You
yes.
can't make it easy on Texas there where they just have to kick a field goal.
That was it.
And that's what I don't understand with Mark Stoops, and that's why they're probably wanting to fire him. It's like you caught this team coming off the high of the Oklahoma game. You had them right where you wanted them. You played it perfectly.
You drained their defense as much as you could.
Oh, man, you controlled the ball.
Right.
Your young quarterback, named Cutter, right? Apparently known Cutter Boley. He cut through Texas with like the little paper cuts.
He
like
did,
just
yes.
1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah,
Death
was
by
that one.
paper cuts. It was 6-yard gain, 6-yard gain, 6-yard gain.
How long was that? One drive coming out of the second
Like
half?
17 plays. And he'd scramble. That's the recipe. And
That's how you do it.
If I'm in their locker room, I'm like, Coach, kick it. Kick
Get
it.
the points, Coach.
If you're Hayden Fry's rolling over in his grave, like if you execute it this good, take those.
Right.
If you kick field goals there, that's 6 points. You win this game. I don't know. That's my read of that. But Texas fans are sending thank you notes and flowers to Mark Stoops
Because your season's still alive.
Because exactly right. And much like Georgia, and I keep pointing out A&M. A&M went on the road as a 9-point favorite and won by 3. And they played awful on defense, and they understand they got to get that worked on because Bobby Petrino and Arkansas exposed some issues they've got on the defensive side of the ball that others will see. So that's life in the SEC, but you win games. And that's the reason I think the Florida game was more on the defense than anything because the defense shouldn't be giving up 29 points. And if they give up 29 points, they won't win again. If they keep things to 13-16 and the offense can improve, because, again, this doesn't have to be the greatest show on turf we're talking about here, playing offense at Texas. They've got to be an efficient offense, as Sark just said, stay ahead of the chains, better play calling and play install, and then get to 20. Get to 20, they could win the rest of them. But,
you play that game against anybody else in the schedule, maybe Arkansas, and even Arkansas can score the football, that you'd lose.
Well, I'm going to say the same about A&M. If
Right.
they do that against
That's
anybody,
true.
when they play LSU in 2 weeks, at Baton Rouge, when they play Texas later in the year, they can't play the defense that bad.
Yeah.
That's the second really good team they've played offensively, and they gave up 40. And we're lucky because they missed an extra point at Notre Dame, and then they gave up 42 to Arkansas. So, again, everybody's got their challenges.
But A&M, 0 losses, Texas 2.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's but you're still in it in the SEC, and you play that team head-to-head. You got to look
Right.
at it as an opportunity now that if you can get through Mississippi State, where your defense just was on the field for 90 plays.
Oh, my gosh.
Be ready for Jeff Lebby's team. Everybody that's you need to beat to get to the SEC title game is in front of you.
Yep.
And you control that. So, I'm not sitting here saying what I saw Saturday gives me optimism they can do that.
You said it was one of the ugliest wins you've seen, right?
Yeah, but it's a win.
It's a win. It's a W.
Lipstick on a pig, y'all. But take it.